Joshua chapter 13. Many years later, the Lord told Joshua, "Now you are very old, but there is still a lot of land that Israel has not yet taken. First, there is the Canaanite terror that starts at Shihor River, just east of Egypt, and goes north to Ekron. The southern part of this region belongs to the Evites and the Geshurites, and the land around Gaza, Ashdod, Ascalon, Gath, and Ekron belongs to the 5 Philistine rulers. The other Canaanite territory is in the north. Its northern border starts at the town of Arha, which belongs to the Sidonites. From there, it goes to Aphek, then along the Amorite border to Hamath Pass. The eastern border starts at Hamath Pass and goes south to Baal Gad at the foot of Mount Hermon, and its southern boundary runs west from there to Misrephoth Maim. This northern region includes the Lebanon mountains and the land that belongs to the Gebalites and the Sidonians, who live in the hill country from the Lebanon mountains to Misrephoth Maim. With my help, Israel will capture these Canaanite territories and force out the people who live there. But you must divide up the land from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea among the 9 tribes and the half of Manasseh that don't have any land yet. Then each tribe will have its own land. Moses had already given land east of the Jordan River to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh. This region stretched north from the town in the middle of the Arnon River Valley and included the town of Ur and the northern edge of the valley. It covered the flatlands of Medaba north of Dibon and took into the towns that had belonged to the Sihon and Amorite king of Heshbon. Some of these towns were as far east as the Amorite border. Geshur and Mecca were part of this region, and so was the whole territory that King Og had ruled, that is Gilead, Mount Hermon, and all of Bashan as far as east of Salakah. Og lived in Ashtaroth part of each year, and he had lived in Edrei the rest of the year. Og had been one of the last of the Rephaim, but Moses had defeated Sihon and Og and their people and had forced them to leave their land. However, the Israelites did not force the people to Geshur and Makkah to leave, and they still live among the Israelites. Moses did not give any land to Levite tribe, because the Lord God of Israel had told them, "Instead of land, you will receive the sacrifices offered at my altar." Moses gave land to each of the clans in Reuben tribe. Their land started in the south at the town in the middle of the Arnon River Valley, took it in the town of Ur on the northern edge of the valley, and went as far north of the flatlands around Medaba. The Amorite king Sihon had lived in Heshbon and had ruled the towns in the flatlands. Now Heshbon belonged to Reuben, and so did the following towns in the flatlands: Dibon, Behemoth Baal, Beth Baal Meon, Jahaz, Kidmoth, Mephaath, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, Zereth, Sharhar, on the hill of the valley, Beth Peor, slopes of Mount Pisgah, and Beth Jeshmoth. Moses defeated Sihon and killed him at the Midianite chiefs, who ruled parts of this kingdom for him. Their names were Evi, Rekem, Zor, Hor, and Reba. The Israelites also killed Balaam and the son of Beor, who had been a fortune teller. This region with its towns and villages was the last land for the Reuben tribe, and the Jordan River was its western border. Moses also gave land to each of the clans in the Gad tribe. It included the towns of Zazer, and in the Gilead region their territory took in the land and towns as far east as the town of Aurora, just west of Rabbah. This was about half of the land that had belonged to the Ammonites. The land given to Gad stretched from Heshbon in the south to Ramath Mizpah at Betonim in the north, and even further north at Mahanaim and Lidibar. Gad also received the eastern half of the Jordan River Valley, which had been ruled by King Sihon and Heshbon. This territory stretched as far north as Lake Galilee, and included the towns of Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Zephath. These regions with their towns and villages were given to the Gad tribe. Moses gave land east of the Jordan River to half of the clans from the Manasseh tribe. The land started at Mahanaim and took in the region that King Og of Bashan had ruled, including Ashtaroth and Edrei, the two towns where he had lived. The villages were the Jair clans, settled in part of Manasseh's land, and so was the northern half of the region of Gilead. The clans of this half of Manasseh had 60 towns in all. The Manasseh tribe is sometimes called the Machir tribe, and after Manasseh's son Machir. That was how Moses divided up the Moab plains to the east of Jericho on the other side of the Jordan River. So these 2.5 tribes would have land of their own. But Moses did not give any land to the Levite tribe because the Lord had promised that he would always provide for them. Joshua chapter 14. 9.5 tribes still did not have any land, although 2.5 tribes had already received land east of the Jordan River. Moses had divided that land among them, and he had also said that the Levi tribe would not receive a large region like the other tribes. Instead, the people of Levi would receive towns and the nearby pastures for their sheep, goats, and cattle. And since the descendants of Joseph had become the two tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, there were still 9.5 tribes that needed land. The Lord had told Moses that he would show those tribes how to divide the land of Canaan when the priest Eleazar, Joshua, and the leaders of the families and tribes of Israel met to divide up the land of Canaan. The Lord showed them how to do it. One day, while the Israelites were still camped at Gilgal, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, went to talk with Joshua. Caleb belonged to the king Kenaz clan, and many other people from the Judah tribe went to Caleb. He told Joshua, "You know that back of Kadesh Barnea, the Lord talked to his prophet Moses about you and me. I was 40 years old at the time Moses sent me from Kadesh Barnea into Canaan as a spy. When I came back and told him about the land, everything I said was true. The other spies said things that made our people afraid, but I completely trusted the Lord God. The same day I came back, Moses told me, 'Since you were faithful to the Lord God, I promise that the places where you went as a spy will belong to you and your descendants forever.' Joshua, it was 45 years ago that the Lord told Moses to make that promise. And now I am 85, even though Israel has moved from place to place in the desert. The Lord has kept me alive all this time as He said He would. I am just as strong today as I was then, and I can still fight as well in battle. So I am asking you for the hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You were there. You heard the Lord, other spies talk about that part of the hill country and the large walled towns where the Anakim live. But maybe the Lord will help me take their land. Just as he promised, Joshua prayed that God would help Caleb. Then he gave Hebron to Caleb and his descendants. And Hebron still belongs to Caleb's descendants because he was faithful to the Lord God of Israel. Hebron used to be called Arba's town because Arba had been one of the greatest of the Anakim. There was peace in the land. Joshua chapter 15. The clans of the Judah tribe were given land that went south along the border of Edom, and at its farthest point south it even reached the Zin desert. Judah's southern border started at the south end of the Dead Sea. As it went west from there, it ran south to Scorpion Pass to Zin, and then came up from the south to Kadesh Barnea. It continued past Hezron up to Adar, turned towards Karka, and ran along to Azmon. After that, it followed the Egyptian gorge and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was also Israel's southern border. Judah's eastern border ran the full length of the Dead Sea. The northern border started at the northern end of the Dead Sea. From there it went up to Beth Hogla, continued north of Beth Araba, and went up to the mountain of Bohan. who belonged to the Reuben tribe. From there it went to Trouble Valley and Debel. Then turned north and went to Gilgal, which is on the north side of the valley across the Adamant Pass. It continued on the Eshemesh, Enrogel, and up to the Hinnon Valley on the land sloping south from Jerusalem. The city of Jerusalem itself belonged to the Jebusites. Next, the border went up to the top of the mountain on the west side of Hinnon Valley at the north end of the Rephaim Valley. At the top of the mountain, it turned and went to Nephtoah spring and then to the ruin on Mount Ephron. From there, it went to Bela, which is now called Kiriath Jearim. From Bela, the northern border curve went west to Mount Seir and then ran along the northern ridge of Mount Zeir, where Sheshalon is located. Then it went down to Beth Shemesh and over to Timhah. It continued along to the hillside north of Ekron, curved around the Sikkeron, and then went to Mount Bahar. After going to Zabneel, the border finally ended at the Mediterranean Sea, which was Judah's western border. The clans of Judah lived within these borders. Joshua gave Caleb some land among the people of Judah, as God had told him to do. Caleb's share was Hebron, which at that time was known as Arba's town, because Arba was the famous ancestor of the Anakim. Caleb attacked Hebron and forced the three Anakim clans of Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai to leave. Next, Caleb started a war with the towns of Debri, which at the time was called Kiriath Sefer. He told his men, "The man who captures Kiriath Sefer can marry my daughter Aksa." Caleb's nephew Othniel captured Kiriath Sefer, and Caleb let him marry Aksa. Right after the wedding, Aksa started telling Othniel that he ought to ask her father for a field. She went to see her father, and while she was getting down from her donkey, Caleb asked her, "What's bothering you?" She answered, "I need your help. The land you gave me is in the southern desert, so I really need some spring-fed ponds for water supply." Caleb gave her a couple of small ponds named Higher Pond and Lower Pond. The following is a list of the towns in each region given to the Judah clans. The first region was located in the southern desert along the border with Edom, and it had the following 29 towns with their surroundings. Villages: Kabzeel, Eder, Jaber, Kinnah, Dimonah, Arada, Kedesh, Hazor of Idnan, Zeph, Telem, Beeloth, Hazor Hadatha, Kiriath Hezron, which is also called Hazor, Amam, Shema, Molida, Hazar Gada, Heshmon, Beth Pelet, Hazar Shual, Beersheba and its surrounding villages, Bela, Ayan, Ezen, Eltoda, Shishir, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmana, Sansana, Lebaoth, Shilhim, and Ermena. The second region was located in the northern part of the lower foothills, and it had the following 14 towns with the surrounding villages: Eshtaol, Zoran, Ashnan, Zanoah, Enganim, Tapioah, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Sokho, Azekah, Shaaraim, Adathaim, Gedera, and Gederathim. The third region was located in the southern part of the lower foothills, and it had the following 16 towns with their surrounding villages: Zenan, Hadasha, Migdal-gad, Dilan, Misphah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Caban, Lamas, Kitlish, Gideorath, Beth-dagon, Nema, and Makeda. The fourth region was located in the central part of the lower foothills, and it had the following 9 towns with the surrounding villages: Libnah, Ether, Asher, Iftah, Ashnan, Nizib, Keilah, Akzib, and Maresha. The fifth region was located along the Mediterranean seacoast, and it had the following towns with the surrounding settlements and villages: Ekron and the towns between there and the coast, Ashdod and the larger towns nearby Gaza, and the towns from Gaza to the Egyptian Gorge, and the towns along the coast of Mediterranean Sea. The sixth region was in the southern part of the hill country, and it had the following 11 towns with their surrounding villages: Shemer, Jeter, Sokal, Dana, Kiryat Sana, which is now called Deber, Anab, Estamon, Enim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilon. The seventh region was located in the south central part of the Judah's hill country, and it had the following 9 towns in with their surrounding villages: Arba, Arab, Duma, Ishan, Jenim, Beth Tapua, Afifika, Hanta, Kiryavat Arba, which is now called Hebron, and Zoar. The eighth region was located in the southern part of the hill country, and its surrounding villages: Moyon, Carmel, Zehev, Zuthar, Jezreel, Zokdim, Zohana, Kain, Gibeah, and Timhah. The ninth region was located in the central part of Judah's hill country, and it had the following 6 towns with their surroundings: Alhal, Betzur,